Welcome. This is the Senior Safety Advice Podcast, and we are so glad that you've made it to a calmer corner of your day. Here, we focus on real solutions, practical help, and the kind of encouragement we could all use a little more of. So let's get to it.
Hey, and welcome back to the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. I'm so glad that you're here with me. Today, we're going to talk about when to see a doctor about any chest discomfort. And I want to say this right up front. Chest discomfort is very scary. A friend of mine just went through this, and it was quite frightening for her, her husband, and all of us. Even mild discomfort can make your mind race. Even vague pressure can bring up fear. And that reaction is completely normal. I've sat with so many people over the years who said, I didn't want to bother anyone. I thought it was probably nothing. I didn't want to overreact. And that hesitation can really matter. Because when it comes to any chest discomfort, listening to your body is not being dramatic. It's being smart. Now, here's something important to understand. Chest discomfort doesn't always feel the same. It's not always sharp pain. It's not always crushing pressure. Sometimes it just feels like tightness, maybe some burning, maybe some heaviness. It's a strange ache. It's something you haven't felt before. Sometimes it comes and goes, and sometimes it feels like indigestion. Sometimes it even shows up in your jaw, in your neck, your back, or your arm. And that's what makes this so tricky. And that's why paying attention matters more than guessing. So here's what I've noticed in working with so many clients, patients in elder care. People often wait because the discomfort tends to be mild. But mild doesn't mean harmless. What matters is that something is changing. If something feels new, feels different or unfamiliar, that's your cue to take it seriously. And here's where this really matters. Chest discomfort should never be ignored if it comes with other symptoms. Things like shortness of breath or sweating or nausea, dizziness, feeling unusually weak or tired. Those combinations are very important, especially if they come on suddenly. I've seen people say, I just felt off. Well, that off feeling turned out to be significant. Your body is very, very good at sending signals. You just have to be just as good to listen to those signals. Another thing I want to say is that chest discomfort doesn't have to be severe to need medical attention. If it's persistent, if it keeps coming back, if it happens with activity, those are all reasons to talk to a doctor, especially if rest doesn't help. And if this is something that families don't always tend to realize. Women often experience chest discomfort differently than men. It may feel more subtle, more like pressure or fatigue, and less like sharp pain. That's why it's so important not to dismiss your symptoms. Now, let's talk a little bit about timing. There are moments when waiting is simply not the right choice. Honestly, I'm not sure that waiting is ever the right choice. If chest discomfort is sudden, intense, or worsening, if it feels like pressure, squeezing, or fullness, if it spreads to the arm, the jaw, the back, the shoulder, that is definitely not a wait-and-see situation. That's a get help now, call for help now type of situation. I know that can feel scary to hear, but believe me, acting quickly can save your life. And here's something that I really want to say. Calling for help is never an inconvenience. Medical professionals would much rather check and reassure you than have you wait too long. I've heard doctors say that over and over again. Now, another thing to pay attention to is patterns. Does the discomfort happen when you walk, when you climb stairs, when you carry groceries? Does it ease up when you rest? Those patterns matter. They're important information for your doctor. And keeping track doesn't have to be complicated. Just notice. Try to take more notice. What were you doing? How long did it last? What helped? That awareness helps to guide care. Now, I also want to talk about something emotional that comes up a lot, and that is the fear of being told that something is wrong. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you just don't want to know. But not knowing creates its own kind of stress, and stress itself affects the heart and your body. Sometimes the biggest relief comes from getting checked and hearing, all right, so here's what's going on. Even when treatment is needed, clarity can bring peace of mind. I've seen people sleep better just after having these answers. I know I do. And here's another important piece. Chest discomfort isn't always heart-related. It can come from muscles, it can come from acid reflux, and it can certainly come from anxiety. I once had a major chest discomfort at a restaurant, and I had to be taken to the hospital via an ambulance. I was so scared. I did not know what it was. 3 hours later, come to find out, it was just anxiety. And I'm better now, and if it ever comes up, I understand what it is. But I didn't feel better until I knew what it was. But you can't tell that for sure without an evaluation. And guessing doesn't protect your health. Getting checked does. Another thing I want caregivers to hear is that if someone you care for mentions chest discomfort, take it seriously. Even if they downplay it, especially if they're older, go ahead and trust your instincts. If something feels concerning to you, that matters too. Now, let me say this clearly. You're never wasting time by seeking care for chest discomfort. You're honoring your body. You're protecting your future and the people around you. You're choosing safety. And believe me, we all know that's a good choice. So if you're ever unsure, if something feels different, if your gut says, well, this isn't normal, then please listen. That inner signal exists for a reason. Well, that's all that I have for you today. I want to thank you again for being here with me. If today's episode gave you some useful insights or new ideas, then please share it with someone who might find it helpful as well. You can discover even more expert tips and helpful guides for seniors and caregivers at seniorsafetyadvice.com. And if you're searching for an aging in place specialist, then visit our website at aginginplacedirectory.com. And go ahead and come back tomorrow for even more useful tips, insights, and ideas right here on the Senior Safety Advice Podcast. And hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel or the podcast, please go ahead and do that right now, because that really helps us to reach more people who could use this kind of support and information. So until next time, take care of yourself and the ones that you love.
This podcast is part of our mission to help older adults live safely and independently. If you'd like to take the next step, visit aginginplacedirectory.com, where you'll find specialists, helpful resources, and inspiration to make every home your place to thrive.